Many people notice their first gray hair with a mix of surprise and curiosity. It is a very common part of life. We see it on our parents, our grandparents, and eventually, we see it on ourselves. This change in hair color is a natural process. It happens to almost everyone as they get older. For some, it is a sign of wisdom and experience. For others, it might feel like an unwelcome reminder of aging. Understanding why this happens can help us feel more comfortable with this change. It is simply a biological journey that our bodies take over time, and it is a shared human experience. Gray hair is not actually gray. It is a mix of your original hair color and new white hairs. These white hairs have no pigment at all. When they grow next to your colored hairs, they create the appearance of a gray or silver shade. The specific shade you see depends on your original hair color and how many white hairs you have. Someone with dark brown hair might see very distinct silver strands. A person with blonde hair might notice their hair just looks a bit lighter and less vibrant. This illusion is what we call going gray, but it is really a process of losing color. Seeing that first silver strand can bring up many questions. Why is this happening now? Is it because of stress? Can I stop it? These are very common concerns. People have been wondering about gray hair for centuries. Many cultures have different views on it. Some see it as a symbol of respect and authority. Others have created countless myths and remedies to try and prevent it. In our modern world, we have science to help us find the real answers. We can now look inside the body to understand the true reasons behind this very normal part of life. This essay will help explain the secrets behind gray hair. We will look at the science of what causes our hair to lose its color. We will explore why factors like genetics, age, and even lifestyle can play a role in when you start to see gray hairs. We will also discuss some simple, practical tips that might help support your hair health. Finally, we will separate the facts from the fiction, clearing up common myths about preventing or reversing gray hair. The goal is to give you clear, easy-to-understand information so you can feel informed and confident about this natural change. To understand gray hair, we must first understand how hair gets its color. At the bottom of each hair follicle, which is the tiny pocket in our skin where hair grows, there are special cells. These cells are called melanocytes. The job of these melanocytes is to produce a pigment called melanin. Melanin is the same substance that gives our skin and eyes their color. As each new hair grows, these melanocytes inject melanin into the hair shaft. This process gives your hair its unique, natural shade, whether it is black, brown, blonde, or red. It is a continuous cycle of color production for every single hair on your head. The process of going gray begins when these melanocytes start to slow down. As we age, the melanocytes in our hair follicles gradually become less active. They produce less and less melanin over time. Think of it like a factory that slowly reduces its production. With less pigment being injected into the hair shaft, the new hair that grows out will have less color. Eventually, the melanocytes may stop working altogether. When a hair follicle has no more active melanocytes, the hair it produces will have no pigment at all. This results in a white or transparent hair strand. This change does not happen to all your hair follicles at once. It is a slow and random process. One follicle might run out of pigment, while the one right next to it continues to produce color for many more years. This is why people get a salt and pepper look. It is a mixture of their pigmented hair and the new, unpigmented white hair. Over a long period, more and more follicles will stop producing melanin. This leads to a higher percentage of white hairs, and the overall appearance becomes more silver or completely white. The timeline for this process is different for every single person. It is also important to know that the structure of gray hair can be different. Many people find that their gray hairs feel coarser or more wiry than their colored hair. This happens because the outer layer of the hair, called the cuticle, can be thicker on unpigmented hair. Additionally, our scalp produces less natural oil, or sebum, as we get older. This reduction in oil can make all of our hair, including the gray strands, feel drier and less smooth. So the change is not just about color, it is also about the texture and feel of the hair itself. The most significant factor that determines when you will get gray hair is your genetics. Look at your parents and grandparents. If they started going gray at a young age, there is a very high chance that you will too. Scientists have even identified specific genes that are linked to the timing of gray hair. These genes control the health and lifespan of the melanocyte cells in your hair follicles. You inherit this timeline from your family, and it is the primary reason why some people find their first gray hairs in their 20s, while others keep their natural color well into their 50s. Age is the next major cause. and it is connected to genetics. The rule of thumb is often called the 50-50-50 rule. It suggests that by the age of 50, about 50% of the population will have at least 50% gray hair. This is just an average, of course. For most Caucasians, graying typically begins in their mid-30s. For people of Asian descent, it often starts in their late 30s. For people of African descent, it usually begins in their mid-40s. This is a natural, age-related decline in melanocyte function that happens to everyone eventually. It is a normal part of the aging process. Stress is a very popular topic when discussing gray hair. While a single stressful event is unlikely to turn your hair gray overnight, chronic or long-term stress can have an impact. Severe stress can affect the stem cells that are responsible for creating new melanocytes in your hair follicles. Research has shown that intense stress can cause these stem cells to deplete more quickly. When these stem cells are gone, new melanocytes cannot be made, and the hair that grows will be white. This helps explain why some people report noticing more gray hairs after a particularly difficult or stressful period in their lives. Certain health conditions and lifestyle factors can also contribute to premature graying. For example, a deficiency in certain vitamins like vitamin B12 can sometimes lead to a loss of hair pigment. Thyroid problems and some autoimmune diseases can also affect your hair color. Smoking is another known factor. Studies have shown that smokers are more likely to start going gray before the age of 30. These factors can put extra stress on the body and the hair follicles, potentially speeding up the natural graying process that is already determined by your genes. While you cannot change your genetics, you can adopt a lifestyle that supports your overall health and, in turn, your hair health. Eating a balanced diet is very important. Make sure you are getting enough vitamins and minerals, especially vitamin B12, iron, copper, and zinc. These nutrients are essential for many bodily functions, including the production of melanin. Foods like leafy greens, nuts, fish, and dairy products can help you meet these needs. Staying hydrated by drinking plenty of water and getting regular exercise also improves circulation, which helps deliver nutrients to your scalp and hair follicles. One of the biggest questions people have is whether gray hair can be reversed. For most people, the answer is no. Once a hair follicle stops producing melanin due to age and genetics, it cannot be restarted. The change is generally permanent. However, if your gray hair was caused by a specific trigger, like a vitamin deficiency or a medical condition, there is a small chance of reversal. If the underlying issue is treated, for example, by correcting the vitamin deficiency, some color might return to the hair. But for age-related graying, this is not the case. There are many myths about gray hair that need to be cleared up. A very common one is that plucking a gray hair will cause more to grow in its place. This is not true. Each hair follicle can only grow one hair. Plucking a gray hair will only result in a new gray hair eventually growing back from that same follicle. However, it is not a good idea to pluck hairs. Repeatedly plucking can damage the follicle permanently, which could lead to bald spots. Another myth is that sun exposure causes gray hair. While the sun can bleach your hair and make it lighter, it does not stop melanin production inside the follicle. Ultimately, how you manage your gray hair is a personal choice. Many people choose to embrace their silver strands as a sign of maturity and style. Others prefer to cover them with hair dye, and there are many safe options available, from permanent colors to temporary root touch-ups. If you are concerned about premature graying, speaking to a doctor or a dermatologist can be helpful. They can check for any underlying health issues or nutritional deficiencies. The most important thing is to feel good about yourself. Whether you decide to color your hair or wear your grays with pride, confidence is the best look of all.